What's going on, guys? This is Inspector Freck here, and I'm bringing back to you the tips and tricks series I started a while ago on my channel. And I'm going to be changing things up a little bit. I was doing a little bit of research, and I found the better way to do the tips and tricks series is not to do, but like I said, where you do every game mode on every map, because it's just going to be a lot of, like, especially with the objective type games, it's going to be a lot of the same stuff. A lot of this, do this, do that, avoid that, and it's not going to vary too much from game to game, from map to map. So what I decided instead to do is I'm going to be doing tips and tricks on every game type. And I know I rated Search and Destroy, but I didn't really give a general tips and tricks as to what's the best way to do things. I just really gave um, tips and tricks specific to that map. But yeah, I did a little bit of the math in my head, and we have 16 maps that came from the disc, and we're going close to that same number in game types. That would take forever for me. I like playing my other game modes and all that kind of stuff more. Sorry, but I think you guys will like this too. But as you realize already, I start off the game. I hopped in, and it was late in the first. Well, not late. The first round I already started, but I'm running around with a silent scar, and as you can see, I mentioned before in the tips and tricks series, you want to split up in equal groups when you're on defense. You want to go, if a full team is 6, you want to go 3 one side, three one bomb, 3 the other bomb. At least the first round when you're getting used to the other team. And as you can see here, I have 2 teammates already down over at A. So in a minute here, you're going to see me making my move over to A side. Yeah, you can see, we still have 2 guys, I believe, sitting in our spawn. Well, I think we're only down to 1 now, and none. It's just me, I believe. But best advice for when you're the last person left is always filter yourself away from where the least action was, not the least, the last action was, and work your way back towards it. Let them come. A lot of it is letting them come to you, but always put yourself in a spot where you're not letting them get the jump on you. Where you're not sitting in a corner. Sitting in a corner is the worst thing to do when you're last man left in Search and Destroy. Because when you're last man left, you kill someone in a corner, they're gonna, it's especially when like this situation was like 1v5. You kill someone in the bottom downstairs of say the building to my left here. It's only gonna take 1 or 2 guys, even if the team's semi smart, to to judge where you are and take a guess. Right here, by the way, I heard there was a guy above me, so I was going to take my time a little bit. I knew they would be planning A and not B. They knew that B's where I killed my the last teammate from, and this guy right here. Can't blame him, because I would play the same kind of way. Maybe not prone, laying down in the middle of a tunnel, but sit near the bomb, guard an area, communicate with your teammates. He did a good job. I didn't really expect him to be laying there like a little bitch. But round 2, I believe it's pretty much a lot of the same thing. Most of my team goes to A, and I believe I still have the same 3 idiots sitting in our spawn. Looks like it. Yep, 3 idiots wasting our spawn. So 1 guy gets taken out. 2 guys already off the bat from our team get taken out. General tips is, if the team becomes predictable, like you see here, I got myself in a, I knew they were all going A side, so I decided to push up the back way by their spawn and see what I could do. And if a team gets predictable, do it. Find your best way. It's always about finding the best routes to run in Search and Destroy. It's always being in a spot where the other team isn't going to think you are. Always put yourself in a position where they can't see you or they can't get to you. That was my fault right there. When you're going to defuse the bomb, I mean, a lot of people don't do it because I know personally I think it's a bitch move. I always carry on my Search and Destroy class. I always carry bouncing Bettys, but I don't lay them down. To me, it's a bitch move. Maybe because I'm used to game battles and all that shit, but it's, to me, like I said, it's a bitch move to put equipment down near the bomb. If you play strategically, you shouldn't have to you shouldn't have to rely on after death kill streaks, or equipment, I should say, to get you kills. But On offense, what you want to try to do, like I mentioned before in my first video, is whoever is your best gunner, and I'm not talking about rusher. I'm talking about the person who's best on gun fights. That's the person you ideally want to have take the bomb. And yeah, I don't happen to get it, so I end up being a little bit of a rusher. I take point on the one side. The other three guys came up here and tried to take point on this side, and they got overran, obviously. Now, right there, when you're in a situation where you get a couple shots on someone, they know where you are now. You always want to move to a spot where you don't, where you had the better advantage. Think about, if I was in their situation and someone just shot me from the back, where would I go to, or what would I do to gain leverage back on that person? And I believe I actually clutch this right here. I believe I get the kill, the last 2 kills actually. But regardless, it's not about me. It's about teaching you guys how to be better at search and destroy. Now, like I said in the first few rounds, when you're left, especially one-on-one, you want to sound horde the best you can and go around, and you don't always want to be rushing around, especially when it's 1v1, because take a chance, especially when you're planting the bomb. And I know where the bomb is. I know he's probably over there somewhere. Take your time. Let him get antsy. I already know their team likes to rush, every single one of them. So they're going to be running around. The biggest part of search and destroy is knowing your opponent, knowing whether they're patient, knowing whether they're campers, knowing whether they're rushers, knowing what their tendencies are. And these guys, all 6 of them, were rushers, all of them. None of them were campers. They all like to rush, and they all like to think they can get in gunfights and win them all. I actually think, if I seem to remember right, that my phone was going off. That's why I didn't move for a while. But regardless, you see me moving now. I know he's probably already made rounds. Like I said, big key. 2 biggest keys are knowing your opponents and always thinking ahead. Always thinking, what would you do? What would the smart thing to do? What would be the smart thing to do in every situation? And it's tough. Search and destroy. I think search and destroy lately. I didn't get the plant in time because I was busy with my phone or whatever it was. But never want to waste time. Always plant as quick as possible. Whenever you can get to the bomb, whenever you can make your way back to the bomb, get back to the bomb, and plant. Because when under 5 seconds left, they're always 10 seconds even left. They're going to be looking for you. They're going to be trying to come for either bomb. Now you see here, I anticipated a rush to the same side my guys got beat from last time, and I didn't get it. But I know in a situation like this, Search and Destroy is a very tactical game, and people call this camping right here. I over anticipated the kill. I anticipated 6 bullets or whatever it is. With my SCAR, I felt I hit all 6. I guess I didn't. I missed 1. That was my own fault. But yeah, you always want to anticipate where they're coming from. You always want to know your teammates. You always, like I said, whether you're a good or bad player, always think what the best player in circumstances would be. Where would he be? What would he be doing? How would he go about things? And most of the time, you'll come out on top. Not always. You're going to come across the occasional person that's going to be thinking the same way, going, I'm not going to be doing my typical thing. What would they think I'll be doing? They're gonna counteract what your thoughts would be. But most players, they don't. Most search and destroy players don't think ahead, and I don't really like what search and destroy has become lately. It seems to be a lot of people not really focusing on the objective, and it seems too many of these people rushing through and or quick scopers. Recently, especially, has been a lot of quick scoping, and not so much about playing the objective. If you want to fuck around, that's go pick a different thing. Search and destroy is one of those things I've loved and I've hung on to, and I know so many people do. It's a good way to test your skill. 1 life. How many other game modes? I don't think there's any actually other game modes that you only have 1 life per round anyway. search and destroy. That's another thing to keep in mind is search and destroy. Is always remember you only have that one life per per round. So don't play it foolishly. Don't go running around with an LMG in the middle of the map to start off every round. You're not gonna make it long at all. You may take out 2 people if you're lucky, but you're not taking out a whole team. You're not winning a game. You're not winning probably even a round. You gotta play smart. You gotta always be ready, and it's always better to be cautious than to be aggressive, overly aggressive in search and destroy. And you see a lot of immediately doing a lot of that. And the tough battles when you play search and destroy come against a team when they're overcautious than when they're over anxious. And right there, I just lost a knife fight. I felt I pushed my knife button. I obviously didn't. But I believe this guy doesn't even get the plan off. He gets sniped or something. I guess I'm wrong. But I think we actually go and tie this round up. Actually, judging by my timeline, it doesn't look like we actually do. But regardless, like I said, main keys. Go over them one more time. Search and destroy. Know your opponents, whether they're rushing or whether rushers or campers. Know your teammates. That's one thing I didn't mention. Know what your teammates do. If they're reckless, you need to not be reckless. You need to counteract what your teammates do. When on offense, let the bomb carrier be someone who's a good gunner, but not a rusher. And always know your position on the map. And always be thinking, what would I be doing? But that wraps it up for this new version of Tips and Tricks series on my channel. Go ahead and if you like it, hit the like button. If not, go ahead and leave some kind of feedback. Let me know what I could have done different. I'm always looking to hear feedback, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.